Hi, thanks for tuning into Pro Football Today. My name is Zach Simmons. Today we're going to be talking about Week 5 of the 2019 season. So, first of all, I want to take a look at one of the undefeated teams. There's two left. But this one, a lot of people thought they might be up here, but a lot of people were a little bit more cautious. I was a little bit more towards the second. Knew that they could be one of the surprise teams this year, but they have shown that they can be a really good team in the NFL this year. The San Francisco 49ers. I've been cautious about them, but now, after Monday night, I think I'm on board. I think I'm on board with this team. Their defense, especially, is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Easily the third best defense in the league on paper. The only teams they're behind would be Chicago and New England. But San Fran, they have a monster defense. The one thing I don't like about their defense is John Lynch isn't doing a good job drafting them. The only good person he's drafted so far, looking on the offense and the defense, is Nick Bosa. You can't really mess up that one. There's a really easy pickup for him. But a lot of the guys he picked up, especially back in 2017, not very good. In fact, both of them aren't on a team anymore. I don't believe Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster. So they can just figure out how to draft. This team is going to be phenomenal. Just looking at their defense, Quan Alexander's phenomenal. Richard Sherman, he might not be Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman, but he is still a great, great corner. One of the best in the league right now. No doubt about it. But Nick Bosa has played phenomenal. You add him with DeForest Buckner on that line. This is one scary defense. And how they played against Cleveland, I know it's Cleveland. They're starting to derail a little bit. Baker hasn't played fantastic. Their line is really not that great. But they look good. The defense was definitely on point. But their offense was on point as well. That's my biggest issue with San Fran. It's just how their offense is played. They've had a lot of turnovers. Garoppolo's been iffy. He's had some really good games and some just terrible games. But the truth is, with this offense, as long as they cannot turn over the ball, this team is going to keep winning. The only team that I think really stands a chance to beat them, at least in division, is Seattle. Otherwise, they have a really good chance of winning this division. Now, first of all, though, it's Week 5. We can say, you know what, this team looks good. They've had a couple really good games, but it's Week 5. Just now starting Week 6. It's a little too early to start jumping on the bandwagon saying this is a division leader. This is a Super Bowl caliber team. But they definitely have potential. They have potential, but it's a little too early. I know I've been barking up this tree for a while, but Miami Dolphins started 3-0 last season, did not end up making playoffs. So just because the team starts at 4-0, looks like they're on point to win division, does not mean they're actually going to do so. So I'll be a little cautious with San Fran just because look at their division. You have the Rams there, but I think the biggest contender that they need to fear is the Seattle Seahawks. If Seattle can keep going, Seattle can easily win the division. They're just backed by a game. So watch out for San Fran, though. They do have potential. I like them a little bit more than New England. Reason being, I think their offense is just a little bit more up. New England's defense absolutely is more... it's definitely better. Definitely a better defense. A scarier defense than San Francisco's. But looking at the offense, New England just has a couple holes in offense, particularly around the receiver position. You don't have Chris Hogan anymore. Edelman's been hurt. Gordon really hasn't looked the same. Dorsett is still Philip Dorsett. Really hasn't gained anything. The one receiver I can think of they picked up from someplace that didn't exceed expectations. But this is an offense that it's taken, the last few years, it's taken them a while to get going. But they're still a good offense. It just takes a little bit of some time. Everyone keeps saying, well, Tom Brady, he's done. His age is showing. But then after the bye week, they're unstoppable. That's what you're going to see with the Patriots. Definitely after the bye week in Week 10, this team is going to go nuts. So looking at how their defense is doing, their offense is good. It's just not as good as I think it's going to be. And I actually do like San Fran's offense just a little bit more if San Fran can just hang on to the ball and stop fumbling. But otherwise, San Fran, I think, I wouldn't say they have a higher ceiling, but right now, Week 5, I think they're the better team than New England. But, of course, Week 11, I think it's going to shift, and we'll be able to say the New England Patriots are the best team in football, no doubt about it. But before we really start looking at a lot of the things that have happened this week and what things could happen this next week, let's take a look at MVP candidates. There's 3 candidates I can think of on the top of my head, which are Mahomes, Wilson, and McCaffrey. A lot of people are jumping on the McCaffrey bandwagon, saying McCaffrey's going to win MVP. He deserves it more than anyone else. I would pump the brakes a little bit on that because he is a running back. The only times you really see a running back win MVP is after a record-breaking season. So in order for McCaffrey to win MVP, he's going to have to put up about 2,000 yards at least. I don't see him putting up 1,800 yards and win MVP. But right now, projected, if he continues to do as good as he is right now, if his average stays the same, and he gets the same amount of touchdowns that he has each game so far, he's looking at about 1,800 yards and finishing with about 19 touchdowns. That's a phenomenal season, but it might not be an MVP caliber season. Why? Look at Mahomes. I like Wilson. Wilson's going to be putting up some really good numbers. If he keeps it up, he's projected 4,500 yards and 38 touchdowns, and he hasn't thrown a pick yet, and we just started week 6. But Mahomes, he has 1,800 yards right now. What that means, 1,800 yards within 5 years. That's an average of about 366 yards per game. If he keeps that going, which means if he gets 366 yards in each game going forward, which is going to be really hard to do, but in 5 games he's done it. He's going to finish with just over 5,800 yards, which is an NFL record. No person has ever had 5,800 yards before. Manning hasn't done it. Brady hasn't done it. No one has done it. So the fact if Mahomes can put up 5,800 yards, which more than likely won't happen, but he can easily keep this going, 366 yards per game is possible. But 5,800 yards, no doubt, MVP. Doesn't matter how many picks he throws. Doesn't matter how many touchdowns he throws. He's got just with that. But looking at touchdowns, he's projected about 35 touchdowns. He's getting just a little bit over, I think just a little bit over 2 touchdowns per game. Keeps that going. He's looking at 35 touchdowns. And once again, just like Wilson, he hasn't thrown a pick yet. So I would say right now the best MVP candidates, if they were to get what they're expected to get, if they keep going on the same trajectory as they are right now, I would say Mahomes shoe in for MVP. But obviously things can change. Mahomes can go down in numbers. We've seen this already with his touchdowns. He's only thrown 1 touchdown in the last 2 games. And just how Indianapolis played, they played phenomenal against them. They knew how to stop him. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see him decline a little bit. But number 2, I think it's going to be Russell Wilson. McCaffrey's great. Don't get me wrong. He's great. One of the best running backs we've seen in the last few years. He's playing phenomenal. However, for a running back to win MVP, he's going to have to do a lot of work. His quarterbacks, they just get it done, especially in this league nowadays. That we're seeing quarterbacks be able to get to 5,000 yards when really we haven't really seen that before. But it's almost an every year occurrence we see a 5,000 yard quarterback. And right now we're projected to see at least one with Patrick Mahomes. Wilson can easily get up there as well. Same thing goes with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan can easily get up there. So right now I don't think you're going to see anyone other than a quarterback win MVP, especially if Mahomes continues to play at the level he has been playing in the last 5 games. Now taking a look at what's happened this week. We all know about Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden's out. He's done it in Washington. They have hired, or at least promoted, their offensive line coach, Callahan, to be the interim head coach. Does not mean that they have hired him to be the full-time coach this year going forward, but don't be surprised if he's definitely a candidate, especially if they can win a few games, because right now they are winless. But I like what Callahan has done so far. He has said Haskins is not a candidate to start. It's not because Haskins isn't ready. It's not because Haskins doesn't look good. It's because they don't have plays for Haskins. Very, very good point. You have to know if you're going to put in a rookie quarterback, he needs to master a set of plays. He needs to have some plays that are just for him, that works in his style. Trubisky did this with John Fox. That when Trubisky came in, he did a lot of these plays that Mike Glennon didn't do. Mike Glennon stayed in the pocket. Trubisky was able to go outside the pocket, so they did a lot more bootleg stuff with Trubisky that they couldn't do with Mike Glennon. So you're going to see kind of the same thing with Haskins. Maybe not necessarily bootleg, but there are going to be some set plays that are that key into Haskins' strengths that aren't necessarily Case Keenum's strengths. But what I like so far is that he stuck with Case Keenum. He said, you know what, Gruden, he liked Colt McCoy. I don't think Colt McCoy is our guy. We're going to go with Case Keenum. Now, before you start bashing Keenum because he's thrown a few picks against Chicago, threw one pick the next game, it doesn't mean that Keenum is a terrible quarterback, that Haskins can't get anything out of him. Keenum made just a few mistakes. I admit those picks against Chicago were terrible, but his last pass attempt in week 4 really wasn't necessarily his fault. He was one of the best quarterbacks at that time, so give him a break. Let him play this week. He's going against Miami. This isn't that great of a team. Cut him some slack and watch what he can do this game. Because if he throws another few picks against Miami, sure, okay. Go after him. Call Washington to bench him. But until then, let Keenum take this team. Because Haskins, I don't think he's necessarily ready. And he needs to master his own set of plays first. I think it's a really good point by Callahan. And also, news just came out today that AJ Green, star receiver from Cincinnati, will be practicing today, and he will not be traded. Zach Taylor has commented that they will not be trading AJ Green. Now, the big question is with them. They're winless right now. They can use another receiver. John Ross is on the IR. Tyler Boyd is playing pretty good. But my big question for Cincinnati is, does AJ Green actually help you or does he hinder you? Because of all of his injury history. That if they get him on a roll, he catches the pass here, they change some of the play style for AJ Green. AJ Green goes down. What happens? Now you have to change the game plan a little bit. Now it's not like you lose a quarterback. When you lose a quarterback, the game plan, it may not work as well with a backup as it does a starter. But with a receiver, there's still some difficulty. Green plays different than Tate does. Green plays different than Boyd does. So they had to change a little bit of the plays to suit Boyd than for Green. So they installed a game plan specifically for AJ Green. And AJ Green goes down. It's going to be tough. And don't be surprised if Cincinnati continues to lose more games because of that. So really, does it help Cincinnati by having AJ Green? If he's healthy, definitely does. They're in a better spot with AJ Green. AJ Green is a great receiver. Definitely give him the rock. But at the same time, he has an injury history the last couple years. It could end up hurting them. It hurt them last year. It can hurt them again this year. And pretty much so far it already has. But if you put him back in there and if you heavily design the game plan around AJ Green, it's going to hurt them in the end. The guy just can't stay healthy. He's getting older. It's not really his fault. It's just his body just can't take it anymore. That's what happens, especially at the receiver position. When you play physical, you don't have that much of a shelf life, sadly. But I'd love to see if they get Tyler Boyd a little bit more in than AJ Green. Just kind of get AJ Green just a little bit in there at a time, kind of like what the Chargers are doing with Melvin Gordon. Just kind of do that, ease him in, and don't have a load of the play of the game plan around AJ Green because it's going to bite them in the end. Now, another thing that's happening this week. I'm not sure how many people know about this, but the XFL will be having their draft this next week. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of these players, there are a lot of the AAF players, but you're seeing a lot of retired NFL players coming in as well. Connor Cook. They also will have Hakeem Nicks. Hakeem Nicks, the starting receiver for the Giants for years, will be going in. Same thing with Robert Meacham, start receiver from the Saints and Chargers will be in the mix. Trent Richardson will be in there. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what they're doing. See exactly if this is a league that can stand up on its own. Because the problem with the AAF, they just didn't have the money. They didn't know exactly how much money went into a professional football league. But the XFL, I had a video a few months back that talked about will the XFL be better than AAF? Will this be able to last longer? I think so. I think the XFL is doing a really good job. Vince McMahon knows exactly what he did wrong the first time around in 2001. I think he's fixed it. He has really good deals with top broadcasting companies. He's with ESPN, Fox Sports, I believe, and ABC. So I think XFL will be able to at least last a season. I'm hoping more than just one season, but this is going to be a really good league. I like what they're doing. The rule changes that they have, they're different from the NFL. I think they make sense. AAF quickly just got rid of the kickoff. XFL is trying to make it better, try and make it so it's safe, but at the same time, you still get one of the most exciting plays in a football game, that being a kick return touchdown. So I think they're doing a really good job with it. It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm hoping it works out, but in reality, we won't know until it kicks off in February. But keep an eye on that. The draft will be happening this next week. I don't know for sure exactly if it's going to be on YouTube, if they're going to have it live on YouTube, live stream it on Twitter, or if they're going to have it in some network. I haven't really checked into it, but it'll be interesting to watch at least. That's all I have for this week. Tune in next week as we discuss week 6. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day.